This is Suburban On Air and Cohen in the City. Here is Mike Cohen.
I can be your hero, baby. I'm in love with your body. Satisfaction. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Oh, Lord.
Well, André-Philippe Gagnon is the #1 singing impressionist entertainer in the world today, he really shot to fame back in 1985 at the Just for Laughs Festival, later on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, where he impersonated the voice of virtually every singer in the classic We Are the World. He's not stopped performing since then, and on Sunday, December 17th at 2:30 p.m., he'll headline a show presented by Le Groupe V at Salle Désilets, the Performing Arts Theater at CÉGEP Marie Victorin and RDP. And André-Philippe Gagnon joins me now. Thank you so much for being with the Suburban newspaper today, André.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, we were just talking before we started recording that it's been almost 40 years since you shot to fame with We Are the World. And of course, you know, a worldwide audience with Johnny Carson. How hard is that to believe?
Oh my God. And also, like, I recently I saw a clip and it brought back the great memories, of course, but the way, you know, back mid 80s, the way I was dressed like a baked potato, you know? The aluminum look that it was. But of course, other than that, you know, to see Mr. Reiner, of course, and to be invited to sit on the couch by Johnny Carson, which I was not supposed to go and sit on the couch with Mr. Carson. So this blessing, you know, like really launched my career.
Now, how did that all happen? How did you conceive that We Are the World routine by getting every voice? How long did that take you? You were a young guy at that time.
Yeah, well, I did that just months before at the Just for Laughs Festival, and back then Jay Leno was a guest star, and he was the one closing the first part of the festival, because there was only 2 days in English,
right,
at the Just for Laughs back then, yeah. And because you know, for the deadline for the journalists, so at 10 o'clock, you know, and they decided to since I already did the We Are the World song at the Just for Laugh in French, we decided for me to close the first part right after Jay Leno. So tough act to follow already there, but you know it. And right after my rendition of We Are the World, Jay Leno came to me and he told me to send the cassette at the people in Burbank at NBC, because they would like to have me on the show. So that's how it started. But it was for the Just for Laughs Festival. It was my partner Stéphane Laporte said, like, all your English impressions, the thing you could do We Are the World. Well, we'll have to skip the chorus part. I cannot do 40 people all at once, but I think I can manage to do a couple of them. And finally, there are like 18 of them that I do in the song that I will do. And I'll perform at the show on the December 17th.
Did any of these major stars, did you ever hear from any of them at all, the ones that you impersonated?
Lionel Richie, I did a French TV show back with Michel Drucker, very popular TV show in France, and he was there, and I started doing the impression on the side, you know, off camera, and he was wondering what was going on, you know, to hear the We Are the World kind of live, because my musicians were there playing the song. And then he realized that when he saw me coming in, that I was doing an impression of the song, you know, and he was like, next time we do something like that, we're just gonna call one guy.
Yeah.
And that's what was my reaction. I laughed and I said, yeah, sure, of course, with pleasure.
There's not too many impressionists, you know, on stage who are really as good as you are, and you're the double factor because you do not only the voice, but you do the singing. How do you do this? How do you study? How do you have the talent to be able to take these voices and the singing voices and just get them spot on?
Well, like you say, like the singing voices to me, like being born in Loretteville. You know, I had my first 5 teachers, English teachers. Like the first one was Mr. Gilbert Thibouteau. The second one was Rita Bonani. Then Simone Léonard, and you know, like so, like the English. I learned my English mostly by listening to the Beatles and reading the lyrics, and so to me it was much easier to impersonate singers, and so because when even though like John Lennon with his thick Liverpool accent, when he sings, his accent disappears. So for me it was easier to do. It is still easier to do singers than talking impressions, to make sure I have the correct tonic accent at the right place.
How big a moment was it for you to perform at the opening ceremonies, I believe it was, at the 1988 Olympic Games?
That was really impressive, and to have that kind of reaction from the audience, like I was thinking, like, wow, man, maybe we have the chance to we'll have a chance to do tours across Canada, because I know that my show in French had many English impressions, and I was so pleased with the reaction back in '88. And we want to. I'm going back there very soon in Calgary, actually, with my
really?
show.
And yes. you have in your career traveled virtually around the world, correct?
Yes, that does. Since I do impressions of internationally known singers, that allows me to do shows in the United States and Europe, and to perform in front of different cultures. Yeah.
Is there a favorite voice that you have, either singing or doing the impersonation?
Oh, I love those crowd pleasers, those Barry White, you know, those the duets. There's a nice duet that I will do in the show at La Salle Désilets on December 17th. It's a duet that I did with Céline Dion. She did that especially for me back in '99 when I opened at the Venetian in Las Vegas, and it's a tailor-made video where she sings her part of the song all the way with Frank Sinatra, and she's on screen, and I sing my Frank live, of course, and it's a nice moment that I really enjoy, and doing it duet with Mrs. Dion is exceptional.
So tell me the story you were telling me again offline. Jean Chrétien, you do a great Jean Chrétien, and Jean Chrétien ran into you. Tell us the story of what happened.
Well, first of all, I really like to do Jean Chrétien because he has an accent that is much thicker than mine. Huh? And
I was performing for a meeting for the G8, G7 back then. Not in Montebello, it was in Charlevoix at the Manoir Richelieu, I think. And Mr. Chirac and all the prime ministers and presidents of the G7 that were there, and I did a performance for them. And right after the show, I did an interview with journalists who were there, and from the corner of my eye, I caught Mr. Chrétien coming towards us, and I was like, "Whoa, we'll have a little moment here." And he addressed the journalist, saying like, "You know, this guy, it's thanks to me, he has a career, you know."
I would never know that.
Yeah, always ask the good words.
Perfect. You have him absolutely perfect. What about?
There's an interesting story.
Yeah,
Mike, I have to tell you, really before a show, I got pulled over and I say that story in the show, for a broken tail light. You know, I got pulled over by the cops, and the 2 cops step out of their car, and the one was like my age, and the other one was like mid-20s, early 30s, and the old one looks at me and he says like, "Oh, it's André-Philippe Gagnon," and the young one says like, "Who's André-Philippe Gagnon?" And the old one says, well, André-Philippe Gagnon, he does the best impression of Jean Chrétien, the best Jean Chrétien impression. And the young one says, who's Jean Chrétien?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, so if André-Philippe Gagnon and I want to say on a ticket, we need to get pulled over by a boomer cop. Huh?
I love it. I love it. Now you also can do François Legault better in French than in English, correct?
Well, but François Legault, pour moi, en français, c'est beaucoup plus facile parce que je vais faire un petit peu dans le spectacle, bien sûr, le 17 décembre. But I think that in English, his accent must be about like this one. And so that's why I like to take the time to do François Legault. Sometimes a little suspicious, you know.
You do
with
him.
the face.
You do him very well, actually, with the impression. I doubt you do Donald Trump, right? You don't do Donald Trump, do you?
Well, Donald Trump, sometimes I like to believe that, that thousands and thousands and thousands of people will attend André-Philippe Gagnon shows on the 17th at the Désilets room. And
I could sit here all day.
It's so easy. No need to. He's good to put all crazy words in by himself.
I could sit here all day and ask you, and I won't because that would be unfair. But boy, you could do it all, and I couldn't do any of those. So you're going to be performing on December 17th. What can we expect from that show? What do you have planned?
Oh, well, it's a show, best of. Lots of my numbers, of course, numbers. We are in the east part of Montreal, and there'll be so many French anecdotes. But of course, there are so many singing impressions in the show, and half of them are in English, and half of them in French, and from France or Quebecers and international stars mainly. And it's gonna be like a little trip through musical memories, because musical songs and vocalists have been on the soundtracks of our lives, since as early in our lives, we've had music in our lives, and at some point we're also all impressionists because we all did it. We all at some point have made an impression of our parents or sibling, friends at school, colleagues at work, and I'm sure I'm sure, Mike, you've already tried an Elvis at some point when you were.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, I have 100%.
Many people think they can do a nice Darth Vader as well.
Well, I know that. I've spoken to the producers. They've got high. It's a great time just before the holidays. Great present, pre-Christmas present for someone. You got a big following. So good luck on the 17th, and good luck as your goes on. I hope we'll be able to touch base again down the line and do other interviews.
Merci beaucoup. Anytime. Merci, Mike.
Great having André-Philippe Gagnon as my guest.